Greetings, friends. It is the top of the hour, and so we're going to get started. My name is Dr. Marcia McPhee, and I am so glad to be coming to you from soggy California. But I will be joining a group of women this March in just a couple of months in Manchester, and it's going to be such a delicious gathering because, friends, right now we need delicious gatherings. So we thought we'd create one this morning or at noon, whichever time zone you're in, and just a time to take a deep breath together, get a little oasis of grace, because the theme of this gathering that is being planned for all of you is about grace upon grace, that beautiful scripture from John that says, from the fullness of the divine one, we have received grace upon grace upon grace. So I could use a little grace right now. Amen. Could you go ahead and get that chat going? This has become our amen corner, the chat. And so in our oasis of grace today, we're going to be with each other in community as we can and be with the divine one in some centering Visio Divina. So let me share my screen with you and let's get going because I really want us to just be able to take a good break today. So here we are in the desert, and yet what is provided for us always, if we seek it, is that oasis, that well of living water. Civilizations, our ancestors, for as long as we've been human, have sought out the living water, have sought out the cool shade in the desert of our lives. I mean that literally and metaphorically. I know that I have been seeking out an oasis of grace for my own life, wondering how to come out of this time, this strange time that we've had of isolation. Well, coming together, anytime I have come together with others, I have received grace upon grace, just being in close proximity to others. I believe and hope that we will never take that for granted again. And so let this time, in this short time, be an oasis of grace, a way of connecting virtually now, but I hope it will be a way of connecting as we come together in March. So when I was invited to do worship and a keynote for this beautiful gathering that's been happening for many years, we have some on here who have been to the celebration for many years. When I was asked to come and join in leadership, I was really thrilled to do so. And when I saw this logo, I saw the rippling out of grace. I saw that grace upon grace upon grace, that kind of rippling out. And so as I've begun to design worship, I have begun to think about that motion, that movement of grace in our lives. And I began to think about the lure of God, as process theologians would talk about it, that lure, that invitation that the divine one gives us to come to the center, to be in that still point, and then to be flung back out into the world. And that's really what a beautiful gathering is about, is feeling that coming together, finding that still point, and then going back out into the world. So I'm going to give you a little taste of the sense, the message of our worship that we will have together in March. And it's kind of the metaphor is from physics, right? The centripetal pull. A centripetal pull is when, we can be in sort of a relationship to the center in a very even way. And we stay a certain distance from the center when everything is even. But when there is a disturbance to that trajectory, then we get thrown into more of an elliptical, And what an elliptical does is it gets closer and closer and closer to the center. So I've begun to think of this disturbing time that we're in as perhaps reframing into a holy disturbance that invites us to get off of our centers a bit. What we thought was our center, what we thought was the way things are, that has changed. And to see this change as a way to come closer and closer to the center. Centrum, the center, the still point, and patere, the Latin means to seek, right? This pull, this yearning to the seeking, to go to the center. That's what a centripetal pull is. And so this first Visio Divina is of a woman who creates these beautiful paintings with centripetal force. And you will see how it draws ever, ever closer to the center. Invite you to take a deep breath and sigh on the way out. Now that you know I'm going to sigh with you, let's do it again. As we watch this motion drawing us to the center, I invite you to consider what is the holy disturbance that is inviting you to come closer to the center where we can be renewed again.
With a fishing thing that my boyfriend made me, and this is my cup full of white paint.
so we come to the center. We come to the still point, centrum, the still point. A poem from St. Catherine of Siena. Consumed in grace. I first saw the Holy One when I was a child, 6 years of age. The cheeks of the sun were pale before the Divine One, and the earth acted as a shy girl like me. Divine light entered my heart from God's love that did never fully wane. Though indeed, dear, I can understand how a person's faith can at time flicker. For what is the mind to do with something that becomes the mind's ruin, a God that consumes us in their grace? I have seen what you want. It is there, a beloved of infinite tenderness. And so from the center, we are called and nudged and flung and thrown with a centrifugal force, centrum, center, and the second part of that means to fly or to be flung. And so the Holy One flings us from the center and out again with a centrifugal force that creates unbelievable beauty. Another visio divina for going out from the center. And so the motion of grace drawing us in to the center where we can be at a still point and sending us out with all the beauty that we are. This is the ripples of grace that we will be exploring in this March 17 through 19 gathering of women in Manchester, New Hampshire. So friends, what's coming up for you? Let's use the chat. What is the holy disturbance of our day? And just because I'm calling it a holy disturbance doesn't mean that it has to be connected to like God is making all this happen, but it is the holy disturbance is that which then shifts us and says, you are not alone. I'm going to draw you to the center. What is coming up for you? What is shifting you these days? I can tell you while you're thinking about it that my connection to my family since COVID has shifted. It has shifted, and it has shifted a way that's drawing me into that center, that still point center, to make sure that all the beloveds are being taken care of. What has shifted for you? For some of you, work may be shifting, maybe thinking about how am I spending my time? And where is my passion? Where is my energy? Other shifts may be personally. What am I doing with my time? And how am I getting fed? Yeah, parent-child relationships. New ways to connect with old friends and new friends. Yeah. The value of being outside has grown. Yes. Also the importance of time, how to use it, and how precious it is. Yes. And recent retirements, or any kind of liminal state where we're not sure, we're not who we have been, but we're not yet in the next chapter. So there's an in-between place. A workaholicism is shifting. Yes. It doesn't feed the soul as it used to. Indeed. That's right. Beautiful. Well, friends, this is the beauty of coming together, and I do hope that you will have the opportunity to join us. Where in the first worship service, I'll invite us to literally come spiral into the center. To remember who we are and whose we are. Remember that there's a deep well in that place that we can draw from. And hopefully the whole weekend will be a deep well. We will stay in that still point for another worship service, and then we will be flung to the outer edges to remember that we are to be in the world, and yet so important that we have come together, have come to the center. And we'll talk about the ripples of who we are. So friends, this was just a very short time to be together, to sort of take a deep breath, to have a little bit of just a moment, and to let you know more about this event that's coming up. And so let me just tell you a couple of things here, and then we're going to bring one of our organizers on to answer any questions. So this is the UCC New England Women's Celebration, but newsflash, if you haven't heard, you don't have to be UCC to go. And so they're opening it wide open, and what a wonderful legacy of gatherings of women that this is. And what a wonderful time to come back together and make those connections, see old friends, make new ones. And so that's March 17 through 19 weekend. But as you can see, for the registration, you want to do early bird pricing by February 1st. And you can also come to Saturday only if you're within striking distance, if you're within driving distance, and just only have that day, you can do that as well. These are speakers. Reverend Dr. Velda Love is a powerful advocate for justice. She is the UCC Minister for Racial Justice, and she believes that given this critical juncture in our nation, conversations on race are still a priority. Racial justice and racial equality need to be part of our national dialogue. As Christians in the United Church of Christ and others, we are responsible for changing the narrative of how we engage the gospel of Jesus Christ that is inclusive, liberating, and radical. So Reverend Dr. Velda Love, one of the speakers, and then Reverend Caroline Lewis, PhD, is the chair of biblical preaching at Luther Seminary, and she leads conferences and workshops and retreats on the Gospel of John and the New Testament, interpreting the Bible, preaching leadership, and women in ministry. And I will be leading worship, as I have said. I will also be doing a keynote, and we are going to look at the 8 or 9 elements of leading a life of spiritual depth. And what we've, all of these are important, but what we've heard lately is that the research bears out that belonging and connecting are the attributes of a life that is most important for our contentment, for our satisfaction. And so it's not achieving, attaining, it's not doing more, it's belonging and connecting. And I think that's as good a reason as any for us to consider coming together whenever we can, in whatever forms we can. And perhaps this weekend retreat will be that for you. Lots of workshops. My goodness, I just want to give you a little taste here. You've got mindfulness, meditation, resilience, women of the greatest generation, walking in faith, healing, qigong, psalms, aging gracefully, moving through grief, healing and sacred storytelling, contemplative photography. Oh my gosh, needle felting for fun, their heroine's journey, yoga, safe space curriculum, Holy Clue mystery novels, and faith-based detectives. I mean, this is fun, and fun is part of those spiritual elements for a life of spiritual depth. And so there's meaningful and fun. You can see just lots of workshops to choose from. It's going to be so incredibly rich. And so, friends, I just hope that you will consider being there. I'd love to be with you. It's just going to be so yummy to actually be together and be worshiping together, be learning together, having fun together. I'm going to stop sharing here and see if we have any questions about the workshops and get the input of Fran. Fran, would you come on and say hello to folks?
Hello, it's good to be here and good to be part of this planning team. I, like Kathy O, have been coming to this event for 40 years. This is Celebration 11. It was postponed a year because of COVID, and we are so glad to be back and to have you leading and teaching and being with us, Marcia, as well as the other keynote folks. But mostly it's you, the folks that are here, and the friends that you can invite to join us, that are what Celebration is all about. So.
That's right. Well, friends, I don't see any questions about the event, but certainly there's contact information on that page. And maybe Jenna might put that link in the chat there so people can go to that. But
Marcia, I do have
yes.
one more thing I'd like to say.
Yeah,
which
please.
Be clear is that we do have some scholarship funds available.
Great.
So if you find that on the registration form, please let us know, because we don't want anyone to feel that this is something you can't come to because of the cost. We're not sure if we've been clear enough about that, but I really want you to know you are welcome. Everyone is welcome. And men and boys can come too.
Yay. All right. Excellent. Excellent. Well, this is a celebration of gathering together, a celebration of the abundance of grace that we have been experiencing, continue to experience. And grace is something we give to each other, right? And so this coming together is, again, to fill the coffers. There's a term in ritual studies, which is my field, that says we need effervescence, that part of the role of ritualizing and coming together is that our spirits need effervescence. And this is one of the things that was very difficult to do in our living rooms during lockdown. You could be on all kinds of webinars like this one, but that sense of being around other bodies, the feel, even if you're sitting in silence together, there is a kind of effervescence that is shared that we need. Those buckets need to be filled up. And so this is one of those ways, is to carefully come back into community We're in a large enough space that we're going to be able to get space if we need it. And so it's, it's going to be a wonderful time together.
I was going to say we're staying at a beautiful hotel in Manchester. We have wonderful rooms for the workshops. So if you're concerned about space, you'll have room to space out, and we'll invite people to wear masks as needed. And there's a labyrinth to walk. There's a nice safe downtown area so that you could go out of the hotel and adventure. And in fact, I believe there's some green space right across the street from the hotel if you want to just take a deep breath outside. It is St. Patrick's Day, so take in some green space and enjoy.
Oh, that's terrific. It kind of occurred to me, this might be a really interesting, if you've been craving community, it might be a great way to bring a group of friends that you've been wanting to sort of get something started, whether that's a book club or whether that's just a cohort together or whatever it is. Come, let this event be kind of a launch of, there's going to be so much material there you could share for the next year. I'm part of a small group of women, 6 of us, that have met monthly, been doing this for the last 3-4 years. And it's so rich to know that there is this still point, that the center that I get to go to with a group of women. And even if I don't talk to them from one month to the next, if life is just crazy, I know that I have a place to come and be myself, share, find that still point. So this could be kind of a fun way to launch that, is to bring a group of friends and do that. So
my drama group is coming, and we're all going to different workshops, except hopefully the same one that we're all doing together. We'll all show up at that one.
Yeah.
But then somebody's gonna go and meet with Velda. Somebody's going to go and do, I think it's prayer beads. I'm like, no, you won't see me at prayer beads. But I wanna experience what she's enjoying there. And we also have a chaplains group that's going with ideas about what can we bring back to our ministry settings that people of all ages and abilities can do. Because this is a really inclusive event. We want people to take those resources back and say, gosh, here's folks at my faith community of whatever kind that we can all do. It's not all of us can walk really quickly or even really slowly or even at all. So you won't see me on the labyrinth. But there's gonna be drumming I might be doing. Who knows? On the other hand, you won't hear me singing too loudly. But I'm probably going to be at sacred photography. So just a whole bunch of things to try also, and say, well, maybe I will sneak into that drumming thing and see what happens.
And who knows, like the contemplative photography that might turn into a spiritual practice for you, right? Who knows? At least you won't see taking pictures the same ever again, right?
What changes when you think of taking a picture as a prayer? Sacred moments.
So I noticed that Catherine said in the chat that the Doubletree by Hilton is offering a discount for those who reserve rooms there. Just mention you're with the women leaders of New England and the celebration. So Susan says, great idea, Fran. Way to attend multiple workshops at once. To bring a group of friends or from your church or whatever, and then sprinkle out to different workshops. And then you get to have your own retreat when you go home because you all brought back all this stuff. So great.
And if you're in care or in discernment or trying to find a new path or re-energize an old one or effervesce, I love that, along an old one, this will give you a chance to try a bunch of different things. And especially if you're thinking, gosh, maybe I do want to be ordained, but I can't figure out a path for me in ministry because maybe I don't want to do that local church. Or maybe I do, but what are the options out there? How do I hear God calling me or feel God nudging me or experience God in my life in new ways. And this, I think, is going to be a place to do that,
Yeah.
to listen
Yeah,
and
that's
experiment.
right. Yeah, it's so good to just go and bracket a time, make it your own, immerse yourself, and come out renewed. So, friends, we are at our 30-minute mark. I want to thank the Fran and all of the people on the team who are creating this wonderful event for the opportunity to come on and just spend a few moments with you, an oasis of grace, just taking a deep breath, feeling that pull to the center and that center stillness, that tender relationship with the Holy Divine One, and then that being flung out to fly with all the beautiful colors that we are. So, friends, I hope to see you in Manchester, and many, many blessings for the rest of your day.
And thank you, Marcia. Peace be with you.